Good morning and welcome home to Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Reverend Joanna and my pronouns are she, her. Thank you for joining us on this cold and drizzly day. We who bring a teaching of hope, we who bring a saving message, who welcome all in our doors. Buddhists and Christians, atheists and pagans, straight, gay, lesbian, and bisexual, cisgender, transgender, non-binary, and intersex, all who are searching, seeking, looking for more meaning, more service, more love. All of us gathered here together. So I would like to invite you right now to put your smartphone on what we call the worship mode. That means it's not going to make any sounds, but you are encouraged to tweet out or send out messages, maybe even a text for someone to join you here next week. Would you please rise now, either in body or in spirit, and join us in singing Gather the Spirit and remain standing for our chalice lighting.
Our chalice today is being lit by Rosie. This is a congregation bound not by creed, but by covenant. May those in agreement affirm our church covenant now. We affirm a caring community of and for all ages, seeking wisdom, doing service, and living with integrity. In our diversity, our covenant holds us in unity as we celebrate our shared spiritual journey. You can be seated. Good morning. My name is Mark Williams. Thank you. I am your volunteer worship associate this morning. My pronouns are he, him. And one thing I particularly love about this church is this choir. I heard them practice earlier, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be really great today, so you're in the right place today to hear some great music. I'd like to welcome any guests we have with us today. Thank you for taking the chance to walk through our doors and join us for this worship service. If this is your first time here, please stop by the visitors table out there and we can meet you and answer any questions you may have. You can also ask almost anybody with a regular name tag if yours is written, and we'll all be happy to help you. This is a church that has things going on 7 days a week, and the definitive way to keep up with what's happening is through our weekly newsletter. You can sign up for it at the visitor's desk, again, out there. Live Oak UU has many ways for you to connect with our beloved community beyond Sunday. Opportunities are shared, again, in that newsletter, on our website, and amongst each other. For instance, although this is today, it's the most fun thing that I could think of to announce. There's a drum circle right after the service at 11:15 at Common Ground, which is, if you don't know where that is, it's out, which I didn't until about a month ago. It's out there. There's a building out there. It's called Common Ground. There's going to be drumming. Come check it out. It's going to be fun. And now our call to worship. There are many sources of our living tradition, and today it comes from the film The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. Okay. Yes. Yeah, all right. I know, I see you Gen X people. The call to worship is, character is what you are in the dark.
Each Sunday when we gather as a congregation, we bring our joys and sorrows with us into this room. And when we ask for remembrance or prayer or thoughts, we make of this room a sanctuary. And we have several joys and sorrows here today. First, Mark Anderson, who is watching us from home, is there home with a knee injury, and he may be on crutches for the next month. And Jen and Ann share that they had to say goodbye to their sweet cat Sybil last night. She taught us so much, and we'll miss her. She was our blessing. Please hug your fur friends for us today. And Lucian shares the joy of was finally able to play my dream game. Okay. Mike Schultz shares, my wife Diane has been sick for the last couple of weeks with an infection. She spent 1 week in the hospital and is now in a physical therapy hospital regaining her strength. Barbara Coldiron shares the blessing, may you find laughter and love on this rainy day. And Bill Dower shares that Bill and Lindy are very happy to welcome to the world Sophia, born this month on the 22nd, to our son Ben and his wife Cynthia. Everyone is well, happy, and fine. And for all of our joys and sorrows, spoken and unspoken, we bear witness with our care and concern. Please join me in singing.
And now please rise as you're willing and able for hymn number 172, Sip Amandla.
You can hear me. Hello, good morning. Sip Amandla, say it after me. Sip Amandla, that was very good actually, is a freedom song from South Africa. From during the time of apartheid. Amandla means power and was a popular rallying cry. And if we can go to the first slide, I would love to just go over the Zulu, which is the language you're seeing. It's very easy. We're only going to sing it this slide once, so after you get through it, it's going to be okay. Repeat after me. Sipamandla.
Sipamandla.
Nkosi.
Nkosi.
Sipamandla.
Sipamandla.
Nkosi.
Nkosi.
Wokungesabi.
Wokungesabi.
And then we repeat the beginning word. Sipamandla Nkosi.
Sipamandla Nkosi.
And then Siyawadinga.
Siyawadinga.
And we repeat every verse twice and then move to the new verse. So we're going to try this. Ready? Can you play that first part? Something like that. Sure. And 1, 2, 3. Sipamandla Nkosi. Wokungesabi. Sipamandla Nkosi. Siyawadinga. Sipamandla Nkosi. Wokungesabi. Sipamandla Nkosi. Siyawadinga. Oh God, give us power to rip down prisons. Oh God, give us power to lift the people. Oh God, give us power to rip down prisons. Oh God, give us power to lift the people. Oh God, give us power and make us fearless. Oh God, give us power because we need it. Oh God, give us power and make us fearless. Oh God, give us power because we need it. Lovely. Thank you. You can take a seat. Great job.
Good morning. There we go. I'm Chris Jarman, and I am the Director of Faith Development. And I have a story. I use she, her pronouns, and I have a story today. If you are young or young at heart, I invite you to come on down. Come join me. Yeah. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, I love us. The young at heart. Okay, I have a question. This is going to sound really simple. Do you know what sand is?
Yes.
Here we have sand. I have a container of sand for those of you that can't see it. And I'm going to pass it around and you can see all the little individual grains of sand. You see them? Yeah. Do you know sand can feel soft and squishy when it's dry? Yeah. And it can be slippery and smooth when it's wet. But have you ever stopped to think about how amazing sand actually is?
Like, literally, you could make sandcastles.
You can make sand castles, exactly. So, thank you. So, let's start with this idea. Sand doesn't stay the same forever. Sand can transform. When it's rubbed against something, like on sandpaper, I'm going to pass this around. You can see all the individual little grains, but now they've all come together. When sandpaper is made, it can smooth out the rough edges. And people use sandpaper to, make furniture. They can use it for art. They can use it to sand down something to repair things. And sand clears the way for new possibilities.
And you guys will play with it.
You get to play with it too, yeah. So when we bring it together from the individual to the together, it becomes a tool, right? Yeah, and it makes room for possibilities. Now imagine sand when it's under a lot of pressure. What do you think happens? You put a lot of pressure on it. It becomes stone. It becomes a rock. Here, I'll pass that around. This was sand, and one day it will be sand again. Here you go.
Dwayne Johnson.
It's Dwayne Johnson. So, now when the sand is under a lot of pressure deep down in the earth, over a very long time, it gets squeezed and squeezed and squeezed, and it becomes a solid rock. And sometimes, as small and soft as sand sometimes sand that is soft and small can become a giant rock, a mountain, or a diamond. So what can we learn from sand? Thank you. Let's think about it. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe in the power of transformation. Just like sand can change into sandpaper, sandpaper can change things. I cannot speak this morning. Sandpaper can smooth things out. And just like under pressure, sand can become a rock. We can change too. Just as sand can change, we can change.
Can I tell you something?
After the story, okay? Sometimes when we look around, we might notice things in the world that seem unfair or broken. Maybe someone is being treated unfairly, or something isn't working for everyone. And when we see this, we can ask ourselves, how can I help? We can be like sandpaper, smoothing out rough spots and making the world better for everyone. At other times, life can feel really hard, like there's a lot of pressure. And maybe you felt nervous about trying something new. Anybody ever felt nervous about trying something new? Yeah. Or you've had to stand up for what's right. Those moments might feel tough, but they're also helping you to grow stronger. And just like sand, becoming a rock. Under pressure, you become something stronger. And here's the best part. You're not alone. Just like sand grains stick together to make sandpaper or rock, we come together as a community. When we work together, we create big changes, changes that make our world fairer, kinder, more beautiful for everyone. So the next time you see sand, whether it's on the beach, the desert, or in a sandbox, remember how powerful sand can be. And remember that you have the power to transform the world around you. Be sand. Be sand. So let's take a moment and let's just all take a breath together. Are you ready? Let's take a deep breath in and let it out. Let's carry that energy of transformation and justice with us everywhere we go. And thank you for being here. And thank you for being sand. Thank you.
You want to know how I know all that about sand? I have a sand.
I told you, didn't I? The choir, yeah? I don't think any of us had that on our bingo card this morning, but that was fun. Our reading today is a poem, Dreams, by Gunter Eich. Wake up! Your dreams are bad. Stay awake. The nightmarishness is coming ever nearer. To you, too, it is coming, though you live far from the places of bloodshed, even to you and your sacrosanct afternoon nap. If not today, then tomorrow, but it will certainly come. Oh, pleasant sleep on the cushions embroidered with red flowers. Anita's Christmas present to you. She sat over stitching for all of 3 weeks. Oh, pleasant sleep, following the juicy roast and the sprouts boiled to a pulp. As you drift off, you think of yesterday's Fox News. Frolicsome Easter lambs, the stirring of nature, the opening of the new casino in Baru Baru, the football games. More than enough to occupy the brain. On the soft cushion, the first-class goose down. Lying on it, you forget the irritations of the world. This item, for instance. The doctor accused of procuring an abortion said in his defense, "The woman had 7 children already, and she came to me with her youngest swaddled in newspaper because she was unable to afford diapers." Well, these are the court's affairs, not ours. There's nothing to be done if A has a cushier time than B, and whatever happens, our grandchildren can sort it out. Asleep already? A pleasant waking then, friend. The current is already live in the wire crawl, and the sentries have been posted. No, don't sleep while the arrangers of this world are busy. Be suspicious of the power they claim to have acquired on your behalf. Stay awake to be sure that your hearts are not empty when others calculate the emptiness of your hearts. Do what is unhelpful. Sing songs out of your mouths that go against expectation. Be ornery. Be as sand, not oil in the thirsty machinery of the world.
The House is suspended until the ringing of the bells. The gallery is to be cleared.
So that was in New Zealand's parliament. And the protest that you saw there by the Maori people, including Maori legislators, was against a bill that was being proposed that was basically their version of an anti-DEI law. This is happening all over the world. This is not a rhetorical question. How did you feel watching that, honestly? How did you feel? Inspired? Enlivened? Moved to tears? Confused, absolutely. That's a big part of it. Proud. Compassion. So, the politicians who were not partaking, the loyal opposition, as it is often called, how do you think they were feeling? Apprehensive? Irritated? Mad? Embarrassed? Apathetic? Disgusted? Disconnected? Self-righteous? You know what I bet they absolutely did not feel? Happy, but comfortable. I want you to think a little bit about the lessons that you have absorbed during your life about not having other people feel uncomfortable, right? Especially those of us who were enculturated as nice Southern ladies, right? Like our whole lives, we have been given the message that it is our job, our responsibility, it's hospitality, to make everyone feel comfortable. And so even when there are serious issues, now we do have our own language, bless their heart, but even bless their heart is not really something that is going to make someone, and definitely a crowd, feel uncomfortable. Keep thinking about that. So, my dad, back after he graduated from Texas A&M and then it used to be a military school, so he had to go serve his time in the Army. But after that, he went and he worked in West Texas out in the oil fields. And I remember him talking years later about the power and danger of sand. Has anyone here ever been in a sandstorm, right? In the Panhandle, West Texas, or somewhere else? You know, a few grains of sand aren't going to do anything, but anyone who is in the oil business, like they have a whole specialty that's all about sand control, can tell you, you get enough sand in those machines, and sand, when it is coming in, it's going to find every little nook and cranny and get in there, and it can stop the machine cold. And that's what I think we should be thinking about for the foreseeable future. Now, our newsletter editor, our volunteer newsletter editor, Diane Sylvan, hallowed be her name, when she saw the title of the sermon, sent me an email and said, "So I'm assuming the directive to be sand involves being super irritating and getting into all sorts of places we shouldn't be?" Yeah, actually, that is exactly it. So 2 things happened in the last couple of weeks. First, the Texas Legislature, the 89th session of the Texas Legislature was seated. For those who are not familiar with the vagaries of Texas governance, our legislature is seated, comes into the legislative session every other year. We are grateful for that. It gives us like 1 year is kind of a break. And then they run for 140 days. They start in June. This year they're going to end June 2nd if there are no special sessions. Being here in a capital city gives us a special opportunity. Doesn't opportunity, can you tell that I used to be in marketing? To become involved. Now, opportunity being realistic, what that usually looks like is getting phone calls and text and emails, please, saying, the Texas Legislature is trying to do something terrible that's going to hurt a lot of people. Can you please calm down? Unitarian Universalists, and we should be very proud of this, have a reputation for being the people who show up. I can testify to this because a couple of weeks ago I was at the border in El Paso and I was meeting with several groups that work with immigrants, and I was talking to the leader of one, Catholic, and when I said that I was Unitarian Universalist, he said, oh, you are active. We work with a lot of Unitarian Universalists. It's a great reputation to have, but it means when you get those phone calls, okay, we are the people who show up. How do we do all of this? Especially because the other big thing that happened, and it only happened this week. My brain doesn't work time anymore. We went into a new presidential administration. And here we are. And so how do we be sand in a world that on the state and national level can just feel so overwhelming? Well, there are the ways that we can be sand that we already know of that you can do from your home. Phone calls. Phone calls are definitely better than emails, but if all you can do is an email, that's okay too. Better yet, actually go down and meet with your legislator or the legislative aides. And of course, there are marches and rallies. Now, if I'm going to talk about this authentically, I got to share with y'all that right now I am really questioning the power, if there is a power, in things like marches and rallies. And I know that I'm not the only one, because we look at all of the work that we have done and it doesn't seem to change anything. I am deeply ambivalent. Ambivalent doesn't mean wishy-washy in the middle. Ambivalent can mean you have really strong feelings on both sides. On one hand, it takes so much work and energy, taking time off work, etc., to go and do things like rallies. But on the other hand, I know this. I know that when we don't show up, that has an effect too. And this article from a couple of years ago just won't leave me alone. Writers at the New York Times were wondering, as were many of us, why all of a sudden are all of these conservative politicians ranting about transgender folks? They've always been here and they're not hurting anyone. Why are they focusing on them? They did investigative reporting, and it turns out that this was a very cold-blooded calculation. You had some political strategists who looked at numbers. What they really wanted to go after was marriage equality, and they may yet, but at that point, they were looking at the numbers and they said, this is a losing battle. Marriage equality is simply too popular because everyone at this point has a gay or lesbian family member, neighbor, co-worker, friend. This isn't going to work for us. They looked at the states that the previous year had introduced legislation very, very niche. It was legislation aimed at transgender youth athletes. Talk about niche. I mean, we are talking, even in the state of Texas, that is at best a handful of kids. And they looked at how people in those states reacted to the proposed legislation, including in Texas. Yeah, there were a few people that came out and pushed back, but there was not an overwhelming response. And so they took that as a test balloon to say, this is the demographic that we are going to target for our next culture war. And that is exactly what they did. And in fact, and I'm so sorry for all of my trans siblings, the president on his very first day was addressing this in hateful ways with executive orders. I feel indicted by this because we didn't know it was a test balloon, and we should have. And I think that is one of the things that we're going to have to keep in mind with every little bit of legislation that we hear about, is it may be something, it may be representing something larger than even itself. So, how do we make the decisions about how we're going to react and what we are going to react to? I wish that I could give you a really simple solution, but I can't. It's too complicated. I will say for myself, I have been thinking deeply this week about what I am willing to give attention to. And for me, what it really comes down to is, are actual lives going to be hurt by this? And so something like renaming the Gulf of Mexico, I can laugh at because I think that it's ridiculous. And frankly, laughter feeds me. Laughter doesn't sap things away from me, but I'm not willing to give it my outrage because there's going to be too many issues, and the other side, people who do not share our values, have learned how to weaponize our own compassion, our own sense of respect for things like facts and laws. They have learned how to weaponize that against us, almost like jujitsu. And I think that we have to be aware of that. So, how do you do this discernment? What are the tools that you have? Read. But let me be really specific about this, because we got so many things to read. There are so many clickbait headlines to click on, so many stories that are being pushed to us. If you feel overwhelmed just after this week, that is by design. Throw as much stuff at us as possible, and hopefully we will click on the most sensationalist things and ignore perhaps the quieter things that will have a larger impact on actual lives. So, I am sure that we all have our own suggestions of certain people to read. I highly recommend, I encourage you to send me your suggestions, minister@liveoakuu.org. I will confess, don't send me any podcasts. I have had to finally accept that that is not something in my life that I have great intentions, but it's just not going to happen. So we all have to be honest about what we can and can't do. But here are some of my suggestions. So for instruction on how to live through this period of time, read On Tyranny by Timothy Snyder. We have multiple copies in our library. It is very short, and it gives like step-by-step numbered suggestions. For instance, the very first one is do not obey in advance. Snyder has studied people like Hannah Arendt. He has studied authoritarian regimes and how they work. They aren't very original, and there's things that we can learn from what has happened in the past. For understanding, read Audre Lorde. Read her poetry, read her essays. She says things that are still pertinent today, like to refuse to participate in the shaping of our future is to give it up. Do not be misled into passivity, either by false security, they don't mean me, or by despair. There's nothing we can do. I know that a lot of us are fighting that one right now. Each of us must find our own work and do it. Militancy no longer means guns at high noon, if it ever did. It means actively working for change, sometimes in the absence of any surety that change is coming. It means fighting despair. I would add, it means being sand. We are not always going to win. Here in Texas, we may very rarely win, but we don't have to make it easy, and we don't have to make them comfortable. Be sand. For courage. Anyone watch a video of a particular Episcopalian preacher this week? Let me give you just a tiny taste of it.
Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals.
So, speaking of people who look irritated and uncomfortable, I love the fact that this C-SPAN videographer was focusing on them and not on Bishop Buddy. Did you catch some of that? I have to admit, I was particularly really watching the Vances, and the fact that Mr. Vance kept looking to his wife, and his wife did not make any eye contact with him. Make people uncomfortable in their marriages too, if it takes that. So Bishop Buddy, I could do a whole sermon series on her, but she obviously read her own book, How to Learn to Be Brave. I already got a copy of it. It's a great book. Read To Be Brave, read her, and also read, I'm completely blanking, who's the person that also talks about shame and being brave? And Brene Brown. She actually quotes Brene Brown. So read both of them.
Let me make one.
And Bishop Buddy says this: a far more common reaction to the summons to step up, however, lies at the opposite end of the experiential spectrum, when we feel anything but ready. These are the times when we know that we can't do what's needed, but we're being asked to do it anyway. And I think that's something that for most of us, including me, it hits home. We are being asked to do things, and our instinct can be, I'm not ready, I haven't prepared for this, but we do it anyway. And lastly, I would say you need to read for fun, and I absolutely recommend Molly Ivins. I've been doing that, I think, definitely every year that the Texas Legislature has been in session since I have been here. Even though she is dearly departed, her words still have wisdom in them, especially because Molly Ivins really knew the whole history of the Texas Legislature. And so I highly recommend that. And the quote that I just love, try to live my life by, Keep fighting for freedom and justice, beloveds, but don't you forget to have fun doing it. Lord, let your laughter ring forth. Be outrageous, ridicule the fraidy cats, rejoice in all the oddities that freedom can produce. And when you get through kicking ass and celebrating the sheer joy of a good fight, be sure to tell those who come after how much fun it was. As part of becoming a Unitarian Universalist minister, part of our formation is that we have to do a unit of CPE, usually in a hospital working as a chaplain. And this is very literally life and death ministry. You are there at the bedsides of people when they get the worst news of their lives. You are there when they turn off the machines and the family has to say goodbye. I think of everything that I learned from that. Probably the thing that was the most important, and they emphasized this, was the power of a great happy hour. And I don't mean the alcohol, although that, fine too, but more importantly, being around people who are doing the same kind of work and breaking bread together and having some laughs and fueling up so that the next day you can put out another foot and start being sand again. I invite you now to take a deep breath and to join me in a moment of reflection. This will be in words and in silence. I invite you, if you're comfortable doing so, to close your eyes so that you can go a little bit deeper. And these words were written by my friend and colleague, the Reverend Sean Parker Dennison. This is titled, How to Survive the Apocalypse. First, learn to listen. Not only for enemies around corners and hidden places, but for the faint footsteps of hope and the whisper of resistance. Hone your skills, aim at your heart toward kindness, and stockpile second chances. Under the weight of destruction, you will need the strong shelter of forgiveness and the deeper wells that give the sweet water of welcome. We have a place for you. When the world ends, we must not add destruction to destruction, not accept a beggar's bargain to fight death with more death in order to survive the apocalypse, any apocalypse at all. We have to give up the counterfeit currency of self-sufficiency, the mistaken addiction to competition, the lie that the last to die has somehow survived. And let's hold that for a moment in silence. Amen, and blessed be.
We are the tradition of the free church. Our church and our community outreach are supported not from an outside source, but from within. We invite you to make a financial contribution to help sustain this church's vital work, knowing that every gift, large and small, is appreciated and carefully used in service of our mission. The QR code or text information for donations is in the back of the pews. And if you would like to donate by credit card, somebody from the stewardship committee will be out near the kitchen after the service. And as the ushers come forward to receive the offering, I invite you to say with me these words. We, building beloved community, with our labor and our treasure, with our gratitude, we receive the offering. May it help us fulfill our mission in the world.
So Bob Dylan wrote these words, "The world's on its side and time is running backwards. Ring them bells. They're breaking down the distance between right and wrong." I can absolutely understand right now the feeling, the desire to huddle and cuddle, to come into spaces like this and see them as sort of a bunker to the outside world. But that is not what we are called to do. Right now, we are called to be a beacon. And if you heard a especially loud bell this morning, hopefully you will be hearing it every Sunday. I want to give a special thank you to Barbara Coldiron and Jenna LaRue and Don Rogers, who at our last silent auction purchased what had been a fire bell that we can now use. It's not for inside, and not just because it's so loud, but like we're already here. It's to take it out there and send a message that we are here and others are welcome. And this is a community where love is our guiding principle. May you go forward this week knowing that you are lovable and loved, and may you spread that love to the world. Go in peace.
I'd like to invite everyone today to the Faith Development Hour. We have a drumming circle, as you heard, in the Common Ground Room building. This is for all ages. RE for the kids today has been changed to drumming. Also, if the noise is not your thing, we have our table connections in the fellowship hall where we have questions, and I invite you to engage in the questions which will deepen your discernment about the service today. And Betty Johnson will be out there to help get conversations going. So we hope that you will find a place for yourself this morning, get connected in this warm, welcoming community as we build dreams and empower our growth and embrace joy. Thank you.
I invite you to rise for our closing hymn, This Joy That I Have, and then remain standing for the extinguishing of the chalice.
Good morning, everyone. So this is This Joy That I Have, and if you go to the Capitol this spring with a lot of UUs, you will probably hear and be asked to sing along with this song. And these days, it's a good reminder not to let events caused by politicians steal your joy, strength, or love. And those are the words we're going to say. As a disclaimer, for the Texas Legislative Day of Action, I think is what it's called, 2 years ago. I think it was now, maybe a year ago. Okay, 2 years ago. I was actually the song leader at the Capitol. So if you end up going, it was a good time. It was a good time. Amazing, thank you. So you can join. I believe that I will also be there again this year, so you can join us there. I'm not sure when that is, but please check in with Texas UGM is the shortening of that. Okay, so I'm gonna sing it for you so you know how it goes. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. And we just changed the word. Ready, and here we go. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. We're gonna sing this strength that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it. You actually have to sing it like you mean it. Love. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This word that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Can you make this one short? The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. One more time on joy. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. We'll repeat that 2 more times. And the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. One more time. And the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. And we'll stop there. Thank you. I didn't know we were going to
Stay
have.
standing. That was great. You all sounded awesome. That was amazing. As Rosie comes up to extinguish the chalice, please say these words with me. We extinguish the flame here that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. May it guide your way until we are together again. Go ahead and be seated. It has truly been a gift to be together today. Thank you to today's home team who provided hospitality and worship and tech leadership. That was Judy, Lydia, Jenna, Chris, Christina, and David. So those are the people to thank when you leave today. This is run almost entirely by volunteers, so make them feel the love. And let's continue that hospitality by spending the next 5 minutes talking with someone you don't know. Members, be sure to introduce yourself to any first-time visitors we have. They're the ones with the handwritten name tags. And show them where the visitors table is, and where the coffee is, and where the drum circle is. You know where things are. Help them find their way. May we all know the blessings of friendship. Go in peace.